Here we go, Monday, Sports Bet Betting Insight today. Pauly and Teddy, SBR picks. All the betting news you need to know in less than 20 minutes. It's going to be a monster handle tonight, probably the biggest bet game of the year. Could rival a playoff game, and they are pulling out all the stops tonight. Monday Night Football with all the props. We'll run through everything and preview the game with the highest total in NFL history with the Chiefs and the Rams. We'll run through openers in the NFL and also college. Probably one of the best, if not the best weekend of sports or week period with the Thanksgiving day games, all the rivalry games coming up, college football and all the college basketball tournaments. We could have Gonzaga and Duke on Wednesday night in Maui as well. So it's a fun week here on SportsBet. We'll run through both now because we're off Thursday and Friday. We'll do college and pro today. Bad beats in the NFL. Brutal. Sunday night if you had it under. From 45 down to 43.5. 14-3 in the fourth quarter. 28 fourth quarter points combined. The pick six by Cousins got everything going. Couple late touchdowns. Bears were playing soft. Bears win. It somehow goes over.
Yeah, I mean, that's as brutal a beat. There are more brutal beats than that. But it's a brutal a beat when it comes to the, I mean, like, the under was so right last night. You know what I mean? There was no offense in that game. Chicago got a lead. They sat on it. Minnesota couldn't do anything.
Yep.
Games like that aren't supposed to sneak over the total with a wild flurry at the end of the fourth quarter, but that's exactly what happens. The final TD, the two-point conversion didn't matter, but the earlier two-point conversions did matter. The fact that Nagy went for it not once, but twice, and ended up hitting 3 out of the 4 two-point conversion tries in the game, which meant that 4 extra points turned into 6 actual points. Those 2 points, the difference between cashing an under bet or the game going over the total.
Fans and media have to cut it out. Don't give me this. If it works, it's a good call. If it doesn't, it's a bad call. Okay?
Yeah.
Nagy's doing the right thing. He's got a shaky kicker, and Rivera's doing the right thing. Remember, Gano had already missed an extra point and missed a chip shot field goal. The game's right there. Go win it. And don't tell me go to overtime. You can't assume he makes the extra point. You can't assume you get a stop, and you can't assume you win the coin toss either. So cut that stuff out with the second guessing, the 2-point conversions. Bad for the books. Lions, Panthers under 51.5 down to 48. A bad beat, bad for the books, and bad bet. Saints over 54 up to 57, fell 55. Peterson, go home. It's 48-7. What is he doing? And you get 48 points out of the Saints, and it can't go over if you laid the 56 or 57.
Yeah, I mean, then on the other hand, you're not supposed to cash over bets over 56 when one team scores 7 points. So, I mean, you can make the argument, you score 48, that game's got to cash, that over's got to cash, but Philly didn't do anything. I mean, the Eagles, pretty embarrassing showing on both sides of the football in yesterday's defeat, although, the Saints have made a clear case as being the NFL's number 1 team. They are in my power ratings, and after the last 3 weeks, not even that close.
Yep, we've been talking about this Monday night game for months, and now the Saints are better than both of them. As Mitch Moss said today, he's right about that. Giants and over, pick up to 3, and 52 up to 54. They beat Tampa 38-35. Tampa came back to cut it to 3.
Yeah, and that's what the Bucs do. The Bucs fall behind, and they rally back. They switch quarterbacks every other week. Yesterday was Winston coming off the bench and providing a spark, and next thing you know, they cut the lead to 3, and the Giants go back up by 10, and Tampa cuts it to 3 again. Either way, really bad result for the Bucs in this one, with the game landing right on 3. So anyone that took Tampa back at the end was able to get a push out of that, and all the Giants money coming in early. The over cashing with a wild second half in that one. Not a good game for bookmakers, both here in Las Vegas and around the country.
All right, bad bet here. They must not watch the show. They bet the Cowboys over 47.5 to 50. That's a 21-5 under run on the road for Dallas. Another big road win. They got to be the favorites to win the NFC East. Ravens from 4 up to 6.5. Jackson not bad. They win by 3. Titans +3 down to 1.5. Listless performance. Mariota hurt again. They lose 38-10 against the Colts. Texans under 43 down to 41. 23-21. I'm not going to call the Texans a bad beat because they had a 101-yard pick 6. Smith got hurt. Watson had some interceptions. How does the guy make it from 54 and misses from 46 to put him up 5? I can't believe that.
So, you talk about Dallas being live in that division. Look at the schedule. You know who's live in that division? The New York frickin' Giants are live in that division, which speaks volumes about of the NFC East. Giants break them up. 2-game winning streak, Pauly, and the talent to compete even against Dallas and Philly and a Redskins team that suffered a pretty big loss with their QB in Sunday's action.
All right, more bad news. The players didn't do well. Another big Sunday for the books. The only favorite that covered based on the closing line was Indy in the early games. The late games, you had a ton of Arizona money. The Raiders went. Typical Raiders, you're trying to tank and get the number one pick, and they win the damn game. You also had the Chargers. That's a scoop, Jackson. The Chargers lose outright. You get beat there. Teaser money, that goes out the window, and money line money. Boy, they blew that. They're up 19-7. Rivers gets picked. Anthony Lynn was terrible, throwing the ball instead of running it. And then the field goal at the gun. There's not a buzzer in football, guys. Come on. It's at the gun. Get that right. So that was wild, too. And then good result as well. A lot of Minnesota money in the Sunday night game.
Yeah, but we have to talk about the Chargers-Broncos with Vance Joseph literally missing 2 points. Didn't end up making a difference in the game, but it could have, where he didn't challenge. He thought there was much confusion after a 2-point conversion try. So instead of leading 22-19, the Broncos only led 20-19. Back-to-back field goals, one for the Chargers, one for the Broncos, ended up closing out the scoring in that ball game. But for a guy trying to hold on his job when you're giving up 2 points without even challenging, a good win for the Broncos. Good day for the bookmakers, as you mentioned. Only 3 favorites won and covered all day, and on several of them, as you mentioned, there was lots of Vikings money. The Bears got the money and covered as a favorite. And, of course, there was lots of Eagles money, and the Saints got the money. So, and there was Titans money, and the Colts got the money. So, really, all 3 favorites that cashed weren't bad for books. None of them were bad results, particularly bad results for the bookmakers.
That's the problem the NFL has. Steratore was an official for how long? He got it wrong and had to walk it back and didn't even know what was challengeable and what you could challenge, and he had to apologize for that on air during the Charger game. Here come the bad beats in college. This was horrific. Colorado State and Maryland money line. Colorado State was catching 30. They think they went on a Hail Mary. Receiver stepped out of bounds. That was, I think, 25-1. They lose the game there. They thought they won in Maryland. The kid's wide open they were going to win the game. Kid's wide open for 2.
That's
plus 450.
I mean, again, when you talk to money line beats, those are brutal. But there were plenty of beats that had nothing to do with the money line. What about Air Force? They're up 3. I'm sorry, they're plus 3. They're up by 13 with 5 minutes left. And Air Force, they get the ball back. They're going to just grind out a first down. And no, not in this case. Wyoming with 3 touchdowns, 2 in the last minute, 9. Air Force was a pick after they fall behind. A 3rd and 15 run equals a 27-yard touchdown. Wyoming 35-27. Air Force plus 3. That was as bad as it gets, Paulie. That was an absolute moose on Saturday afternoon.
And Wyoming on the interception, the kid fell down on purpose, and he could have scored. And then it was 3rd and 15. It was holding on the play. But you're listen to this. Arizona declined it because the game's over if they accept the holding call because they're going to take a knee. The clock runs out. So the coach for the team, when they gave up the touchdown, declined the holding penalty so the touchdown would stand because that's the only way they had a chance down 8. I've never seen that before.
That's. I mean, what do you say? That is a brutal beat. If you had Air Force plus, my condolences. That's all I can say.
Let's see. Van Pelt's got to hit that tonight with video. We'll see. Arizona second half, pick or -1. Trailed 55-14 at the half. You couldn't win the second half. It was 14-0 early in the third quarter, but that lunatic Mike Leach is still throwing the ball up 62-28, and they get 2 late touchdowns, 14-14. Worst pick of my life, too. Washington State under. Holy cow. The game went over in the first half. That was terrible. And Washington State got the total themselves. West Virginia money line, they find a way to lose, up 17 at the half. They're up 10 late. They blow it. They blow their chances maybe to get in the certainly to get in the playoff. They lose at Oklahoma State. BC from 1 up to 3. They go up a 74-yard touchdown pass with less than 2 minutes. Horrible job by BC.
Yeah, I mean, BC had that game, and they needed that game, and they let it go with a defensive breakdown in the last 2 minutes. That's tough. And as for West Virginia, on the money line, we've seen the Mountaineers have these second half collapses in every road game this season. Go through, look at the numbers. We talked about it on the show. We saw it again this past week. Of course, They'll get the game against Oklahoma at home this weekend. We'll preview that on tomorrow's Sports Bit.
Also at Oregon, 3.5, dominated the game, 4 turnovers. That's the only way Arizona State scored. They won but didn't cover. UAB plus 17, fumbled the opening kickoff, returned for a touchdown, missed 3 field goals and an extra point, lost by 21. If you stayed up late, the get-out game, UNLV plus 6.5. It did touch 7. They're up 21-3 at Hawaii. They're up double digits in the fourth quarter. The backup quarterback comes in, and he throws 3 touchdowns. And then it's tied with a minute left, and he threw a bomb for a touchdown. Hawaii by 7. Incredible. All right, we'll run through these because we got to get to Monday Night Football. Bad for the Bucks. Clemson Duke opens 27.5, closes 30. Bam, lands 29. Maryland from 17 down to 14, and the over bet up. Easy winner there. Miss State from 18 to 23. Nothing out of Arkansas. Miss State rolls them 52-6. La Tech opens 2, closes a 3-point dog, and loses by 1 at Southern Miss. And Miami from 3 up to 6.5. It's not a tough place to play. La Tech loses again at home. They get drilled by 24.
Yeah, Virginia Tech has been god-awful for the better part of the last 2 months. They had 1 winning cover at Duke. That's all they have to show for themselves since the calendar turned to October. But you talked about a couple games landing right in the middle there. That Clemson Duke landing in the middle. The Louisiana Tech Southern Miss game landing right in the middle. And when you can cash tickets on both sides, and when you end up with pushes in the middle, those tend to be very, very rough games for bookmakers because they're not supposed to cash either side in those ball games.
Wisconsin plus 5.5 down to 3.5, and the over 52 up to 55.5. They beat Purdue 47-44 in triple overtime. West Virginia, Oklahoma State 71 up to 74. The over there. Nebraska plus 2 went off the favorite, 1 by 3 in the snow at home. And we'll do some bad bets. Hawaii over 68 up to 72.5. Friday night, SMU couldn't move the ball for 3 quarters. That was crazy against Memphis. Memphis, SMU over 72 up to 75. Minnesota plus 3 to minus 3. Right? Northwestern had nothing to play for. They won, 15-1 in their last 16 conference games? Crazy. They won by 10. Penn State, Rutgers over 49 up to 53. Not even close. Texas Tech, what was that? From 4 up to 7, scored 6 points. Utah State from 26 up to 30. Lucky they won the game. And Iowa State took money as well. And how about Citadel? Alabama was 42 in the first half. It was 10-10.
Yeah, you talk about a bad bet. Alabama first half, that was a bad bet. The under in that Wazoo game in the first half, that was a bad bet. Obviously, when you talk about 10-10 and you're laying 41, yeah, that's no good. When you talk about a game that goes over the total by halftime, you bet first half under. You didn't enjoy either one of those, but there's a couple of these that I want to talk about. Utah State, Colorado State. Colorado State hits the Hail Mary on the last play, but the receiver's foot was out of bounds before he caught it. Utah State, that was an escape for the Aggies. And you want to talk about knee-jerk. You want to talk about why I don't worry quite so much about these games where, the wise guys are steaming so-and-so. The wise guys steam Minnesota. Steamed them, +3 to -3. If you read the quotes out of Northwestern, Pat Fitzgerald's like, yeah, we're coming to play. We're not laying down. We're coming to beat this team. And, of course, Northwestern was better than Minnesota, and that showed on the field. People were betting motivation. They didn't read the papers. It said, we're motivated. And that ended up being a very bad bet. Lots of Gophers money. The books got to keep all of it.
Monday Night Football. Rams are 3-63 at home against the Chiefs. Chiefs, 35 points per game. Rams, 33 points per game. Mahomes, number 1 in touchdown passes, passing yards per game, and 2nd in passer rating. Goff is 3rd in touchdown passes and 5th in yards per game and passer rating. You look at the numbers on defense. The Rams are 19th. Football Outsiders. Kansas City's 26th. 2nd year in a row, the Chiefs have the worst run defense in the league. Special teams. Football Outsiders. Kansas City, number 1. The Rams are 12. We'll see if you get a fake punt out of Hecker in this one tonight. Gurley's going to pass the 1,000-yard mark in this game. We had a prop on Gurley we'll give out in a second. But Kupp is out for the season. That's a big blow. Who steps up? We're going to have to see Woods and Cooks get going as well. Number 1 offense against the number 2 offense. KC, number 1 passing attack. Number 4 rushing attack. Rams, number 3 passing offense. Number 1 rushing attack. You get my point here. That's why the total's so high. And don't tell me, you sit here and say the total's too high. You can't have a total. These artifacts and relics that are betting these games. You saw what happened in the Rams-Saints game already. earlier this year and when the Chiefs went on the road and took on New England. There could be 85 points scored in this game tonight.
Yeah, you're not going to catch me with an under bet. But when you look at some of the advanced metric stats, it's stunning to see how close these two teams actually are. Yards per play, 4. Kansas City, 6.9. The Rams, 6.9. Yards per play against. Kansas City, 6.0. The Rams, 6.0. Yards per rush. One team's at 4.8. The other team's at 4.9. Yards per rush allowed. Worth noting, you call the Chiefs the worst run defense. We'll talk about that in a minute. KC, 5.1 yards per rush allowed. The Rams, 5.2. Again, numbers that are real close. QB rating, 117 for the Chiefs, 113 for the Rams. Turnovers, net turnovers, KC +7, LA +8. Opposing teams' strength of schedule. Both teams have faced opposing teams, when you take out the wins, 494. Exactly the same strength of schedule. So it's insane how close these stats are. There's one stat, Pauly, that is very different between these two teams. The Chiefs have continued to cover point spreads. 8-2 against the spread. They've lost 2 of their last 3, but they've been a juggernaut. The Rams, they went 3-0 to start the season. Since then, 1-6 against the number. The betting markets finally caught up with KC of late. They've been ahead of the Rams for the better part of the last 2 months.
Yeah, I like the Chiefs. Actually, the defense hasn't been bad. They're 6th in sacks. Can anybody get pressure on the quarterback? If that happens, I think it's Kansas City. Also, Wilson has carved up the Rams twice, and now you got to worry about Mahomes and all the weapons he has. Plus, the Rams have lost Kupp. So, I mean, the one thing here, and this should happen, McVay has got to stick with the run and feed Gurley. He needs 30 carries in this game. Kansas City has all kinds of issues, and what do? You move the ball, and you also keep Kansas City off the field by running Gurley. Feed Gurley a lot. That's how you can move the ball in this one. What's your case in this one as far as making stops? And Christ, you could do what? You get so creative here with the props. How many punts? Will there be a punt? Interceptions, all that stuff. They already got the overtime and the safety stuff up too. They're treating this in Vegas like a Super Bowl.
Sure, they're treating it at the NFL offices like the Super Bowl, creating the all-star refereeing crew for this one like they would for a playoff game, which, you worry about some of that stuff a little bit. I want to talk about the two defenses. All the offenses are going to get the hype, and the defenses aren't gonna. The Chiefs' defense is playing a lot better of late. A lot better. D Ford has been an absolute difference maker as a pass rusher for them. And all of a sudden, KC's generating pressure on opposing defenses. And that wasn't the case early in the season. And you look at the Rams, and their defense has been, I'm going to call it a disappointment, especially with how well Aaron Donald has played. The problem in the secondary, Marcus Peters has been lit up.
Stinks.
And he's not the only one that's been lit up in that Rams secondary. But, of course, Peters now facing his former team. So Sammy Watkins on the other side. There's a nice little game within the game. Of course, Watkins and Peters switching teams in the offseason. And if the Rams are going to get the job done and win and cover tonight, they need Marcus Peters to have a big game against his former squad.
All right. Check out the status of Watkins, too. He's banged up. And we'll see if the Peters knows anything about his former team. Props, first scoring touchdown. First score, touchdown -250. Mahomes passing yards over under 325.5. Touchdown passes 2.5 over -140. Will Mahomes throw an interception? Yes, -150. Hill receiving yards over under 90.5. Goff touchdown passes likewise 2.5. Passing yards 320.5. Gurley rushing yards 109.5. Cooks is 95.5. Woods is 87.5. Safety, yes, 8-1. Overtime, yes, 8-1. This is fantastic. This is going to be a great watch. I can't wait. I go back to 49ers, Broncos, Elway, Montana, and also, was it Montana or Young? In any event, or Giants, 49ers. That was Montana. Most anticipated Monday night games in a long time.
Yeah. And I'm going to run over here just a little bit because I want to read these two quotes. I think they're meaningful when it comes to Andy Reid and Sean McVay. And I'll tell you, if I'm taking the Chiefs tonight, I know we all love Andy Reid now, myself included. I'm worried about McVay out coaching him. I'm worried about McVay out scheming him. And that's my biggest concern about KC. But talking about the prep time, Andy Reid, KC didn't change anything. Quote, with the extra day and being a Monday night game, we were going to prep like we normally do. The players are a little bit resilient, just like coaches. Wherever you put us, we're going to go and do what we do. So you kind of prepare for this team, which is what we spend our time doing. The Rams' preparation was affected because they had to go to Colorado Springs to play in Mexico City, plus the fires. Quote, as far as affecting our preparation, we're out in Colorado Springs. We're staying here till Saturday and then go back to L.A. We never complain about an opportunity to get a chance to play in front of our home fans. It's something to look forward to. The prep favors KC in this ballgame. They didn't have to change their plans at all.
And the Rams got caught in a snowstorm, too, while they were out there. Money time, play of the day. We've been hot until the debacle on Friday. My fault. We'll go props. Now, I lean Chiefs. I can't make a case for the under. I think it should be an aerial circus. Todd Gurley to score a touchdown in the first half. Yes, minus 120. And you could find this and globally. Will the Rams use the Halle Berry audible? Yes, plus 155. Absolutely. Goff can lock this up. She saw it. She noticed it. It's national news. It's a big deal. He gave her a clap back on Twitter. He's got a shot here. Coffee's for closers. It says it's favorite play. Halle Berry audible tonight. Yes, plus 155. Couple props we like here. We're back tomorrow. We'll run through the 4 marquee games in college. How about Oklahoma, West Virginia, and the Apple Cup going on at the same time Friday night, the day after Thanksgiving? And you won't believe the numbers on Urban Meyer as a dog. Loshak in the Bay coming up next. We'll talk to you tomorrow. All the betting news you need to know in less than 21 minutes. Sports Bet Betting Insight today, SBR Picks, Pauly and Teddy. Thanks for watching.
Coffee's for closers.
Halle Berry, beautiful. Beautiful. Love her.